Hello and welcome along to the Weather Studio Live. I'm Alex Deakin.
And I'm Aidan McGivern. We are live on YouTube and on Twitter. Normally we're live on Facebook as well, but we'll post this a little bit later on Facebook. A few technical problems this afternoon. But yeah, we're broadcasting from the Met Office headquarters in Exeter, bringing you all the very latest weather news. Heading into the bank holiday weekend, of course. The summer so far, wet?
Bit mixed, to say the least. Yes, it's been on the wet
warm,
side, I suspect.
Cold?
Well, what do you think? What do you think? We've got the stats.
We've got the actual stats.
We have the stats of the summer so far. And obviously, yeah, we'll be focusing a lot on the weekend. There's a bit of uncertainty, but overall, yes, signs it could be getting a little bit warmer. It's not a bank holiday everywhere, but for many places it is the last, it'll depress you, the last bank holiday weekend, the last long weekend until Christmas. Oh dear. So let's hope it does warm up a little bit because a lot of people would like that. We're joined by Luke as well. Luke's got all the questions coming in. So yes, keep your questions coming in and Luke will be here to answer them. Anything coming in already, Luke?
Yeah, we've had a few questions already. People asking about the bank holiday weekend. Keep them coming, guys, because we will cover that and anything else that you want to know.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And introducing... Aidan and I are a little bit excited about these. These are our new pens that we can draw on the touch screen with. So yes, bear with us. It could be a bit of fun today. We've not used them before, and as I say, we are a little bit excited. So anything could happen really in the next 20 to 25 minutes. Make sure you stay with us because it could be fun.
Draw your own conclusions.
See what you've done there. But first, vortices. Vortices, beautiful pictures. This is a gorgeous satellite image taken in July. Now, these blobs, these black blobs you can see at the top right-hand corner of the screen there, the Canary Islands. Now, at the moment, the satellite picture across the Canary Islands is far more serious with those wildfires going on, thousands of people being evacuated. But this image was taken last month, and it shows, well, just these beautiful, beautiful swirls of cloud. And this is caused by, these are called von Karman vortices, caused by something called vortex shedding. And it's all to do with the wind direction and just getting just the right speed for the blocks, which are effectively the Canary Islands. So when the wind is coming down like this, in this direction, then downstream of the islands, you get these little vortexes set up. And what I didn't realise, actually, they tend to move as well. I've seen these pictures before. It happens reasonably frequently, but I always thought that the eddies kind of stayed still, but they don't. They move with the flow, and you get one on one side, one on another, one on one side, one on another. It's a really beautiful thing. There's some great images online, actually, of just how they form, and it's all about the wind speeds to be right, and of course you need there to be cloud at the right level. Otherwise, they don't show up. Often you get these vortices, but if it's cloud-free, you wouldn't see them. But yeah, amazing little swirls caused by each of the different Canary Islands there. So it's incredible. It's not the only place that it happens around the world as well. This is a great image of something very similar, but higher up. The winds were just at the right speed, but higher up here. This was taken in America with the mountains over the Mojave Desert, creating these vortices higher up when the wind's coming in just at the right speed and across from the Pacific. So you need the right wind speed, and you just need the atmosphere to be in the right condition. You need the right viscosity of the atmosphere, and you get these amazing vortexes forming in the air. Just incredible to see.
Yeah.
And every month, amazingly, for the satellite picture of the month, Met Office updates on our website. So it's a really good site just for some beautiful, beautiful imageries from satellite, from space. So I just thought I'd show you that for a bit of fun. Any questions coming in so far, Luke?
Yeah, we've had a few. One interesting question from YouTube, from Lewis Brooks, asking how we actually measure the jet stream in the upper atmosphere. There's a number of ways that we can get measurements from the jet stream. When I started out as a forecaster, I used to release weather balloons, which is basically a giant balloon filled with helium. It goes all the way up to 30,000 feet, and it measures temperature, pressure, and also wind speed. So when it gets to the levels like 30,000 feet where the jet stream often is, we can get an actual measurement. We can then compare that with the model data, gives us an idea of whether the model is performing well or whether it's slightly out. And we can also get similar measurements from aeroplanes as well. So that's an interesting one. Thank you for your question.
And the jet stream is playing a big part in the weather over the next few days because it is shifting finally. We'll have more on that in just a moment.
Not used our pens yet. We're both holding them.
We're 5 minutes in, we haven't used the pen yet. Go on then. Show us what it can do. Still holding off.
There we go.
Look,
Drawn something.
Brilliant.
Something. That doesn't.
But let's focus in on the weather, shall we, for the next couple of days? Because before we get to the weekend, there's still plenty of weather going on. Lots of showers recently. It's a case of sunshine and showers again today, mate.
Yes. So Scotland, Northern England, down to Eastern England as far south as, say, Norfolk. That's where there are some sharp showers around for the rest of Tuesday. And you can see some further showers coming into the Republic of Ireland to move into western parts of the UK later. In between, some sunshine and temperatures, well, not far from average at the moment. We're looking at high teens, low 20s, where we get some decent sunny spells. And then overnight, it was quite fresh this morning, wasn't it? In a welcome sort of way. I felt it felt quite nice coming into work. It wasn't too chilly, but overnight tonight, temperatures won't be quite as low because we've got areas of cloud moving in. And for the start of Wednesday, 5 degrees or so in sheltered spots in Scotland, single figures in the countryside elsewhere, but otherwise around double figures. And then the showers get going again. Slightly different place for Wednesday afternoon. You can see southern Scotland into much of northern England, North Midlands, as well as parts of Wales for Wednesday afternoon. Bright start for Western Scotland, Northern Ireland, but this comes in by the end of the day. Here we go.
It's a cold front.
That's very pretty.
There we go. Isn't that nice? So yeah, quite an active cold front coming in from the Atlantic. There it is properly. So yeah, low pressure, cold front coming in. So a big change tomorrow in the northwest. It's going to be quite wet and windy by the end of the day for Northern Ireland and Western Scotland. And that's the start, quite a wet spell actually in Western Scotland for the rest of the week. But this is kind of depicting the setup for the next few days, isn't it? High pressure across the south. So the rest of this week looks fine across the south really, whereas low pressure further north continuing to bring showers, if not something a bit more persistent, because another weather front comes in for Thursday. Yeah,
let's pause it there and show you what's going on with this weather front. Now, this warm front here, in between a warm front and a cold front, we get what's known as a warm sector. It's essentially a slice of relatively moist Atlantic air. Now, this is coming in like that. Okay, some red arrows indicating that moist Atlantic airflow, and well, it's just going to turn wet across Western Scotland, Northern Ireland by the end of Thursday. And the rainfall will stick around there for the second half of Thursday.
You can see the flow there in the isobars pointing together. There's that we call it a warm conveyor belt, and it is literally like a conveyor belt of moisture that just comes in, and it's going to be, because it's going to be sticking around across Western Scotland, because the winds are going to be quite strong as well. You get the uplift over the mountains in Scotland. It's just going to rain there for a long time, basically from the end of Wednesday throughout Thursday and into Friday as well. So there's a cause for concern. Well, something, an area that we'll certainly be watching, work closely with SEPA, the Scottish Environment Agency, and monitoring how much rainfall is going to come here, because it does look very wet. Meanwhile, across the south on Thursday, it's high pressure, so there'll be big contrast with the weather on Thursday across the UK.
Yeah, and the jet stream, of course, we're always talking about the jet stream on this programme. Let's put that on. Let's turn that off. The jet stream at the moment is in a relatively straight line across the Atlantic.
Conveyor belt there going across, but then what happens?
So yeah, you can see the jet stream there. What happens upstream over the next few days? Rewinding the clock ever so slightly. So it's in a relatively straight line from North America across the Atlantic, but upstream we're following this little ripple. Now playing it forward, you can see that ripple starts to become more amplified. And
it goes higher, it goes more amplified, so it makes a bigger wave, basically.
Yeah, it's like tossing a skipping rope. The ripple then starts to move downstream, and you can see it moving right up across North America, and then starts to have an impact as it heads into the Atlantic for the end of Friday. And watch what happens here. We're following this little bump in the jet stream. It then dives south just to the west of the UK, and boom, as you head into the bank holiday weekend, it's going to mark quite a significant change in our weather for Saturday, Sunday, Monday compared to recent days and weeks.
As it drives south there, the potential for that warmer air to come up from France and from Spain. The red colours you can see there being the jet stream is driving south, and that is pushing that warmer air up across certainly southern half of the UK. Now it's not as hot as it was earlier in the summer, nothing like that, but it is going to be significantly warmer than it has been for most of August so far. We're seeing those temperatures back up above average, particularly so in the south, but I think almost everywhere it's going to feel more warm and more humid by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday. Bit of uncertainty about what happens after that because of the way the jet stream is sort of wriggling around quite a bit. There is a bit of uncertainty about Sunday and Monday in particular. We'll have more on that in a moment.
Yep. Any questions, Luke?
Any more questions coming in, Luke?
Yes, lots of people. Sounds like you've got a lot of plans over the bank holiday. Thank you to Watermoss on YouTube for your question. What's the weather looking like in the Isle of Man as you're off there this weekend? It's not looking too bad. There could be some wet weather to begin with, but it does look like there will be plenty of dry and sunny weather. And of course, at this time of year, if you are heading to the coast, sea temperatures are around about as high as they would be. Sort of late August into September is when we'd roughly see our highest sea temperatures. So it might not feel too bad going for a dip. Another question come in from Matt Wilson on Twitter. You're heading to the Great Dorset Steam Fair, which is Thursday through to Tuesday. What's the thoughts on rainfall? Well, we are expecting the risk of a few showers over the weekend. It's a little bit uncertain at the moment, but I think you can be pretty confident that there will be quite a lot of dry weather as well. That's it.
Thursday to Tuesday, that is a long...
That is a long period.
It's a long steam fair. That is a long time.
They might run out of steam.
Hey! See what you've done there. See what you've done there. Maybe that's how long it takes for the steamroller to get from one side to the other and they just follow it. That's amazing. That's pretty good. And it's the Reading and Leeds Festival actually this weekend as well. Also, weather looks pretty good for that. Mostly dry. We'll be getting warm. If you're going to that, make sure you take on board plenty of water and be prepared for it to be quite hot. Don't forget the sun cream as well. Just sound advice there for going to festivals. And speaking of the sea temperature, I was in West Wales last week. It was beautiful in the sea there last week. It was just lovely.
Just right.
Some impressive bodyboarding I saw on Instagram.
Thanks.
Really, yeah.
I'm a bit of an expert.
Great. Was that your daughter's bodyboard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get one of the bigger ones next year if I'm a good boy.
If you're good enough.
If I'm a good boy, I won't be good enough. No. I was pretty much owned by the sea, but I had. Anyway, moving on. Let's look back at August so far, the summer so far, because there's only 11 days left of meteorological summer. How's it been so far? Most people's concept probably wet and cool and
you'd be right. You'd be right if you think it's been a wet summer. This map here shows the distribution of what we call the rainfall anomaly. So the blue colours indicating those areas that have seen a wetter summer than normal. And this is comparing it with the summer as a whole. So what we've got here, some of the darker blues indicate more than 170% of the total summer rainfall already up to the 18th of August.
So we'd expect it to be 86% because we're approximately 86% of the way through summer. So we'd expect, if it was bang on average, it would be somewhere in this sort of pale browny colour. But most places are already above the total average. That's what this map's showing. In some places, like you see, well above average, particularly across the Midlands, northwest England, northeast England.
And you can almost identify those areas that have seen a lot of this rainfall just from a few weather events. Certainly across this central part and of the UK, we had a lot of thunderstorms after the hottest day, and we had a lot of persistent rainfall when the rain bands came in and they stalled across the Midlands, northwest England, and then northern England. So a lot of this rainfall came from just a few days of rain this summer. That's
quite typical of summer, particularly in August, isn't it? You often get a few rain days, but when the rain does come, it's heavy because you get the big thunderstorms rather than actually more persistent rainfall from weather fronts.
Little surprise then, it has been a dull summer so far, and again, you'd normally expect 86%. You'd normally expect somewhere around this light grey. A lot of places, though, seeing dark greys, which indicates less than 85% of the total summer rainfall, summer sunshine up to this point. But a lot of people might think it's been a cool summer so far.
Because of that?
Marginally, it's been a warm summer so far. This is the mean temperature, so this is the day and night temperature averaged out across the UK. And most places are half a degree to a degree warmer than average up to yesterday. And just a few places average, nowhere really lower than average. so far. So, yeah, it's
last summer, of course, we were up in the dark red categories. Many places were 2 degrees above. We probably needed a new scale for last summer. It was so far above.
This is looking at the maximum temperatures, so daytime temperatures, and parts of Western Scotland quite a bit above, 1.5, 2 degrees above average.
Just actually picking out there, the far east of East Anglia, warmer than average quite a bit, suggesting we've had a lot of westerly winds, because they do best when we have westerly winds, and that's again partly to do with the position of the jet stream.
I guess also when we had the very hot weather, it lingered there for a bit longer. Now I asked Dr. Mark McCarthy, climate scientist here at the Met Office, friend of the show. I asked him
on the show,
how common are wet and warm winters, because normally when you expect a lot of rainfall in the winter, in the summer, you expect it to be cool. And he said, generally there's a negative correlation, but it's not that unusual. What's interesting is that they've become more common in recent years. 97, 2004, 2009, 2014, 16 and 17 were all wetter and warmer than average.
So it seems to be wetter and warmer summers seem to be becoming more frequent.
Yeah, and I think that those summers were particularly wet. They've just been marginally warmer than average. And what seems to be happening is as temperatures rise around the globe, in a situation where we previously expect cool summer because of the rainfall, it's now tipped us just above average.
Interesting.
Of course, when you get a dry summer, then it's much higher than normal, like last year. So yeah, that's quite interesting, an interesting trend there.
Shall we look at why? Why has it been
paint a picture?
Let's paint a picture, shall we? Let's use these. Jet stream, basically. Am I on the wrong thing?
You click the arrow speed there, and not the line thickness.
I see. I need training. I was off last week. I missed.
There's a 3-day course next week that you can go on.
So the jet stream. Look at these arrows. Has been overall through summer and certainly through August so far, the jet stream has been kind of in this position. So we've tended to be on the cool side of the jet, and across Europe it's been pretty glorious and dry, hot and sunny. So that's where we've been, and of course the jet stream drives low pressure systems. See if I can do this bit right. So in here, that's where we've often had low pressure systems sitting across the UK, bringing us bands of rain and often bringing quite gusty winds as well, particularly in the last couple of weeks. But there are signs, perhaps, of a change.
Oh yeah.
A change perhaps on the way. Let's put the jet stream back on for the maybe.
This is much quicker than would normal.
Maybe the jet stream could be shifting further north over the next few days, which means more likely to see.
Okay, I'll draw the high. It's not really going to be there, is it?
No.
More like there.
There you go. There you go. More training required. The jet stream is more likely to be shifting further north over the next few days and into next week, actually. So the low pressure system is more likely to be driven further north, which means it's going to allow high pressure to build in across the UK. So that is why the weather is settling down a little bit as we go into the weekend. We are going to see higher temperatures. There's still a bit of uncertainty about how much cloud, how warm we get as well. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But yeah, we are expecting to see something of a shift in the jet stream.
Yeah.
Any more questions, Luke?
Well, talking about the jet stream, that is one of the answers to this next question. Thank you, Louis Slay from YouTube. How come July was so much hotter than what August has been so far? And as the boys have drawn very neatly for us on the board, the jet stream in July was a lot further north, as we are going to be seeing as we come into the bank holiday weekend. So that meant we had a lot of high pressure during July, a lot of sunshine, a lot of dry weather, and that's why the temperatures were higher as well. In fact, July, from mid-July through to the end of the first week of August, is traditionally the hottest time of the year. So we would arguably say that July is probably a hotter month on average than what August is, and certainly in the last 10 years August has been quite an unsettled month. And there's plenty more questions coming in from people up to lots of things over the weekend. Lee on YouTube has said that it's Manchester Pride this weekend through Friday to Monday. While the weather in Manchester is not looking too bad, I think, for dry weather. There should be some sunshine around as well, maybe just a small chance of a shower over Saturday and Sunday, but generally I think it will be fine. So enjoy your time there. Back to you guys.
Great.
Thanks very much, Luke. Keep your questions coming in. We're almost at the end, but we'll try and answer as many as we can. We've got some funky maps to show you now, Aidan, about the weekend. So generally, it's getting warmer and sunnier into the start of the weekend.
Especially in the south.
Right.
Will it continue? Well, it all depends on how amplified that jet stream is. at the weekend. Now, we showed you there that the jet stream recently has been a bit more flat across the Atlantic. That's allowed weather systems to move in and then move through. But heading into the weekend, there's a sign that it will become more amplified and it will direct warmer air our way. Now, this is a chart for Sunday from one computer model, and it's at this point that the computer models start to have a difference of opinion. This map here, basically, it's quite complicated, but what I just want to highlight here is that the jet stream, it's moving in from the Atlantic, and it's coming across here, right? And it's in this sort of shape, right? So it's
kind of following these reddy purpley bits.
Exactly. It
down there.
It's a bit flatter than how we start the weekend. This, where it dips to the south, that's called a trough, and it extends across northern Britain, and that allows us a bit more cloud and some showers and cooler air as well. So we can see what that looks like on the surface, with a ridge of high pressure across southern parts of Britain. Some warm colours there indicating some warm, dry weather across southern parts of Britain, but further north, a bit more changeable, a bit breezier, a bit more cloud, and some showers. Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England. However, what's more likely, we reckon, that's one computer model.
This is a more likely scenario.
This is the more likely scenario from the European model. The other one was the American model. This is the European computer model. And this has what we say, more support from other computer models. So more of them indicate this type of setup. Now, what you've got here is the jet stream, again, coming in from the Atlantic, but then it dives much further south to the west of the UK. And this is what we often see as a cut-off low. So it dives so far south that it starts to come back on itself, and this low pressure starts to cut off. And this is in the upper atmosphere, so where the jet stream is. And this can, as we see at the beginning of the weekend, draw up warmer and generally more humid air across southern parts of the UK, but across northern Britain as well. It looks like it's moving some warmer air in. So
in this scenario, the warmer air is more widespread. It gets further north, across Scotland, Northern Ireland as well. But also in this scenario, there's the chance of throwing up some, with the humid air, of some showers coming up across the south as well.
Generally where we've got these darker oranges coming in across southwestern Britain through Sunday and then into Monday, a chance that they'll move northeastwards. So big uncertainty at this range. And it looks like if these thunderstorms or showers do occur, they'll generally be quite high in the sky, so perhaps not a lot of rainfall falling out of them, or at least not reaching the ground. Rainfall not a big concern out of these, but yeah, could see some flashes of lightning.
Quite a lot of medium and upper level clouds. So it's not going to be crystal clear blue skies. It'll be that hazy sunshine type of scenario. I mean, basically the weather for the long weekend.
Making a big deal out of it.
For most places, it's looking pretty good. There's just some uncertainty about how warm it gets, the extent of the warmth, and how much cloud there is around. But for large chunks of the country, if you're after dry with hazy sunshine, it looks pretty good, and it will be warming up as well. So yes, for most places, just a bit of uncertainty about the extent, how much cloud there is, and just how warm we get as well.
Yeah, either way, it looks reasonable for most places, most of the time.
It's a lot drier and a lot warmer than most of August has been so far.
And it looks reasonably promising for the start to the middle of next week as well, with the jet stream being a bit more diverted to the north of the UK.
Yes, and you'll have more on that in the 10-day trend tomorrow, so you'll be recording the 10-day trend. That goes on YouTube and on Facebook sometime through Wednesday afternoon. We'll be looking a bit more detail into the following week, as well as a few more details.
Last week of summer.
Holiday as well. Last week of summer meteorologically, last full week of summer. Meteorologically speaking, yes. Any more questions finally, Luke, coming in?
Yes, a few people have been asking about the term Indian summer. Any signs of an Indian summer as we go into September? Well, we often refer to an Indian summer as being kind of later in the autumn, sort of October, November time. In recent years, we have seen some warm weather much later into the autumn. Generally speaking, we need to have had a cooler spell, perhaps even some frost, before we would then see an Indian summer. So at the moment, it's not looking particularly chilly and in the sense of any widespread frost, but as we go later into autumn, stay tuned, because who knows, we may well get some warm weather returning later on. And that's all from the questions today.
It's the definition of Indian summer is really interesting, because I think the newspapers in particular have a completely different definition for it. They just think any warm spell beyond August is an Indian summer. That's really what an Indian
from
summer
the middle
is.
of August.
Yeah, well, they start talking about it in the middle of August as well. Yes, I mean, often, certainly over the last few years, September has been pretty warm and sunny. I've seen some warm, sunny spells during it as well. It's not unusual to get that at that time of year, so there probably will be, and the signs are more likely than not into the first part of September that high pressure will continue to dominate. Looking at the longer range. What else is coming up? We've got Weather Snap, our podcast coming out this week. Make sure you're following us for the very latest on the updates through Snapchat, Instagram, and as well as Twitter and Facebook also. And next week, exciting news next week. We're hoping to have a guest on next week. Gavin Pretapini from the Cloud Appreciation Society. Fingers crossed he will be on the show next week, so that is worth tuning in for. Also, tune in to find out whether we do or not let Claire have one of these pens.
Do you know, I think after today, senior management are going to confiscate these from all of us. So that's the last time we're allowed to play with these.
We'll get better with them. We'll get better with them, we promise. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sending us in all your questions. Please keep them coming in, even if you're watching this when it's not live. We still go through the questions and try and answer as many as possible. If you've liked it, tell your friends. Get them to watch next week as well. But from us, 3 for now. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.